on satellite, on Freeview, on cable, on radio, on mobile, on the web and around the world. This is First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7.
It's a long process. President Maithripala tells the UN General Assembly that Sri Lanka's development might be slow, but it is steady. Bill passed. Second reading of the Provincial Council Elections Amendment Bill passed in Parliament. No exceptions. Former governor of the central bank told he is not exempt from Sri Lankan law. Catastrophe. At least 200 dead in Mexico earthquake. Sneaking through. Sri Lanka automatically qualified for the 2019 World Cup on the back of the West Indies loss. Bring you news from home and across the world. This is First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7. Good evening, I'm Katrina Chang. Now moving on to our local story tonight, President Maithripala called upon the international community to extend their support to the slow but sure progress of Sri Lanka towards a progressive, democratic and equal society with high morals and discipline in spite of those who want to unduly hasten the process. The President made the request addressing the general debate of the 72nd United Nations General Assembly.
President Maithripala addressed the 72nd United Nations General Assembly for the third time in his tenure during yesterday's evening session of the general debate early this morning local time. In a wide-ranging address, President Sirisena discussed devolution of power from the executive and also called on the UN to assist Sri Lanka in development.
I was an example to Sri Lankan and world politics through devolving many powers to Parliament, which had been vested in me by the Constitution and by the executive. Amid good governance, strengthening democracy, upholding human rights and maintaining good international relations, I hope to receive the UN's support in developing my country. Some extremist factions want to move in the fast lane, calling for hasty, short-term solutions. We all know the fast lane is dangerous. I request your cooperation for our slow yet successful journey.
Meanwhile, other world leaders also took the floor to address global, regional and local issues.
Il revient à l'humanité de se défendre.
Humankind must defend itself by protecting the planet. The Paris Climate Agreement is not up for renegotiation. Taking it apart would mean taking apart a pact that exists not just between states but also between generations. It can be improved. We can have new input, but we will not backtrack.
Mais nous ne reculerons pas.
The discourse also gave way to some tongue-in-cheek sarcasm.
I had the honor of representing my country on 6 different continents. Now it's true, I haven't yet visited Antarctica. But one day I have to go there. I want to go there too, because I've heard that penguins are also enthusiastic supporters of Israel. Now you laugh, but penguins have no difficulty recognizing that some things are black and white, are right and wrong. And unfortunately, when it comes to UN decisions about Israel, that simple recognition is too often absent.
Meanwhile, on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, President Maithripala yesterday met with Pakistan's interim Prime Minister Shahid Khaqan Abbasi. During the meeting, Premier Abbasi assured President Sirisena that Pakistan will continue to assist Sri Lanka and will commit to strengthen the economic and trade relationship between the two countries through a new approach.
The Provincial Council's Elections Amendment Bill passed its second reading a short while ago with 154 in favour and 43 voting against the bill. The bill passed with the 2/3 majority required as per the Attorney General's proposal to the Parliament today. Meanwhile, a heated debate occurred during today's parliamentary sessions when Provincial Council's Elections Amendment Bill, which states female representation should not be less than 30% in the provincial councils, was tabled.
This bill has not been presented to the provincial councils. Now you should give a directive which states that views of the provincial councils are not necessary. Many parliamentarians representing the opposition came to discuss with me yesterday. Even MP Dinesh Gunawardena spoke with me. I then discussed with the Prime Minister. If there are any problems, you can speak with the Prime Minister. He said he will discuss the matter further at noon.
I don't see why these members today are agitating. They have no basis.
Order, please.
The Oversight Committee had not seen any of the amendments that were presented today. Prime Minister promised that they will work according to the report given by the Oversight Committee.
We have two options, Honourable Speaker. One is we go on till 11:30 and adjourn, or you decide when you want to fix the meeting of party leaders.
Let him continue to finish it, then we can start.
Let him finish his speech, then we can adjourn after that.
And therefore, it is my
Order, please. The House suspended till 12 noon.
Parliament proceedings resumed at 1:30 p.m. and the Speaker read out the Attorney General's statement to the Parliament.
I have to advise you that the said draft bill is not inconsistent with the Constitution. It is also not subject to any of the prohibitions or restrictions imposed by the 13th Amendment to the Constitution and may be enacted by the Parliament.
දැන් අපි සම්මත කරපු පනත නෙමෙයි මේ සංශෝධනත් එක්ක එන්නේ. ඉතින් මේ ඕවර්සයිට් කමිටි එක තේරුමක් නෑ කතානායකතුමනි.
නමුත් ඕවර්සයිට් කමිටිය ඔබතුමාගේ සභාපතියෙන් එක පිළිඅරන් තියෙනවා.
පක්ෂනායක රැස්වීමේ දිනේෂ් ගුණවර්ධන මැතිතුමාලා සහභාගීලා මේවා ඉවර කරගත්තා. Let us start the debate now.
ඔක්තෝබර් මාසේ 20 වෙනිදාට පෙර පළාත් පාලන මැතිවරණ පැවැත්වීම සඳහා කිසිදු පූර්ව බාධාවන් ඇති නොකොට තබන බව ආණ්ඩුව එකඟතාවයකට ආයිතු තිබෙනවා.
පොරොන්දුව දෙනවද ඔබතුමා? අපේ සභා පොරොන්දුව දෙනවා.
මේ පනතට අපි විරුද්ධව ඡන්දය පාවිච්චි කරනවා.
We have presented these amendments to implement a single electoral system in the country. We will hold all provincial council as well as local government elections by March next year. We were planning to hold all provincial council elections on the same day, but the Supreme Court said we first needed to have a referendum on the matter.
කාලය අහෝසි වෙන සභාවන් දීර්ඝ කරන්න. පෙර තියෙන සභාවන් ඉදිරියට ගෙන එන්න මම හිතන්නේ ජනමත විචාරණයක් යෝජනා කරලා නැහැ. ඒක නෑ. ඒකට එහෙමනම් අපිට මාර්තු මාසයේ වුවත් පුළුවන්කම තිබෙනවා. සභාවන් කීපයක් හෝ
අපිට පුළුවන් ඊටත් වඩා ගෙනියන්න පුළුවන්.
We can discuss passing a new amendment if necessary. We have no intention of holding elections later than March. However, the Elections Commission must decide on when to hold them.
මැතිවරණ කොමිසම තීරණය කරන්න ඕනේ.
Meanwhile, former President Mahinda Rajapakse also expressed his views on the upcoming elections. He was speaking at the launch of the book Rohita Basana, written by parliamentarian Rohita Gunawardena in Colombo today.
The government never postpones elections. The new theory of this government is that it wants to improve women's participation in elections, and that's what's taking time. That's how they passed the 20th Amendment, and allegedly they want to hold elections on the same day, but they don't want to postpone elections. It was cancelled because of the Supreme Court ruling. I saw that the female parliamentarians of the UNP carrying signs demanding their rights. They don't know their rights, and the rights of the country are about to be lost.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says the legal framework is set to change by 2018, with the government ready to introduce a new import-export law on ease of doing business. Addressing the annual conference of the IOSCO Growth and Emerging Markets Committee in Colombo today, the Premier stressed that Sri Lanka's economy is navigating through a period of transformation amid global turbulences.
The IOSCO Growth and Emerging Markets Committee Annual Conference 2017 is held in Colombo, Sri Lanka for the first time. The International Organization of Securities Commission is the international body that brings together the world's securities regulators and is recognized as the global standard setter for the securities sector. The Growth and Emerging Markets Committee comprises 88 members and 19 non-voting associate members who include the world's fastest growing economies and 10 of the G20 members.
A new Inland Revenue Act has come in where the incentives are on the basis of depreciation and capital allowance going from 200% to 300%. There are other new legislations we have planned. We are now discussing a new monetary law which will have the central bank focusing on the essential items. We are working already the two laws, one on the new law on the Securities and Exchange Commission and another law on the demutualization of the stock exchange have been approved by Cabinet. If need be, we will bring in a law of ease of doing business, a new import-export law. So by 2018, the legal changes, the legal framework will change.
In the meantime, addressing Sanase International Federation 2017 in Colombo, the Prime Minister drew correlation between political stability and economic growth.
You have to provide money, you have to provide credit for your grassroots entrepreneurs. If you want stability, political stability, which is the sine qua non for any economic growth, then everyone must be prosperous. Having credit available is essential. And we in the government have now passed the Microcredit Finance Act in 2016 to ensure a more stable and a more regulated microcredit system in Sri Lanka.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome back. Acting Solicitor General Dapula de Oliveira today filed a motion at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing the controversial bond issuance. He requested a 2-day adjournment to the proceedings of the Commission prior to cross-examining the former Governor of the Central Bank, Arjuna Mahendran. In the meantime, making a special statement, the Chairman of the Commission of Inquiry, Supreme Court Justice K.T. Chitrasiri, stated that the Commission is of the view that Arjuna Mahendran is not outside its jurisdiction despite him being a foreign citizen.
Former Governor of the Central Bank, Arjuna Mahendran, testified before the Commission for the second day. Evidence was led by President's Counsel Ramesh De Silva. Responding to questions, Mahendran said that he was given clear instructions by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe to ensure transparency in all transactions of the Central Bank. After President's Counsel concluded leading evidence, Acting Solicitor General Dapula de Oliveira filed a motion before the Commission requesting the proceedings be adjourned for 2 days since the material have not been forthcoming. He requested the 2 days for preparation to efficiently cross-examine the witness. In response, the Commission agreed to adjourn the proceedings until Friday morning and ordered Arjuna Mahendran to respond to the questionnaire given yesterday on or before the noon on Friday. The questionnaire relates to data of 2 mobile phones he handed over to the Commission. In the meantime, referring to recent media reports and discussions, making a special statement, the Chairman of the Commission, K.T. Chitrasiri, said Arjuna Mahendran cannot claim that he is outside the Sri Lankan law, especially since he accepted the appointment as the Governor of the Central Bank. He went on to say that Mahendran is in a very different position to Arjuna Aloysius, who appeared in response to summons and pleaded that he is likely to be accused in a criminal case in the High Court and that he is likely to incriminate himself if he is compelled to give evidence. Justice Chitrasiri also stated that Aloysius invoked a golden rule of the law that an accused cannot be forced to incriminate himself. He went on to say that Mahendran is not in the same position because he does not say he is likely to be accused in a criminal case in the High Court. The Commission therefore said Mahendran is compellable to give evidence. The statement added that the Commission does not think Mahendran is so foolish as to not take the opportunity to give evidence and give his explanation, if any. It concluded saying that even if Mahendran did not want to give evidence, the Commission is certain that his counsel would advise him that it is in his interest to do so.
Former Presidential Secretary Lalit Veeratunga and former Director General of Telecommunication Regulatory Commission Anusha Palpita, who was sentenced to 3 years imprisonment over the silk clothes case on the 7th of this month, were granted bail by the Colombo High Court. The bail application filed on behalf of the 2 defendants were taken up before High Court Judge Gihan Kulatunga today. Veeratunga and Palpita were found guilty in the silk clothes case and were sentenced to 3 years in prison by the Colombo High Court. In addition, they were ordered to pay 2 million rupees each as a fine and 50 million rupees each as compensation. They were accused of misappropriating 600 million rupees of TRC funds to distribute silk clothes during the 2015 presidential elections. On the 11th of September, attorneys representing the former presidential secretary and former TRC Director General filed a petition against the verdict delivered by the Colombo High Court. Lalit Veeratunga and Anusha Palpita were produced before court when the bail application was taken up for hearing at Colombo High Court today. High Court's Judge Gihan Kulatunga granted the attorney representing the defendants to produce any special submissions. In response, President's Counsel Kalingi Indratissa, representing the defendants, requested the Colombo High Court to reconsider the 3-year prison sentence, saying that it is practically impossible to expect a ruling to be given within 3 years for appeal already filed. The President's Counsel also requested the court to take into consideration the health of the two defendants and said it is unlikely the duo would evade court. Following deliberation, Colombo High Court Judge Gihan Kulatunga ordered a cash bail of 100,000 rupees each and 3 sureties of 1 million rupees each. He added that one of the guarantors should be a government servant and another close relative. The defendants were also ordered to surrender their passports to court. Minister of Highways Lakshman Kiriyalla is concerned that ulterior motives are at play to thwart the Central Expressway project. He voiced the concerns and elaborated on the tender process of the Central Expressway at a media briefing held in Colombo today.
We gave the contract to the Taisei Corporation, but the Japanese government made a request from us to include Fujita Corporation as a partner along with Taisei. The two corporations discussed with Japanese ministers and came to an agreement. So the Economic Committee, which is chaired by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, and the Cabinet of Ministers headed by President Maithripala Sirisena approved that decision by the Japanese government.
Minister Kiriyalla then showed 2 letters sent in by the Japanese ambassador to Sri Lanka and Japan Bank for International Cooperation, which invests in the Central Expressway project.
Japanese Embassy, Mr. D.C. Disanaga, Secretary Minister of Higher Education and Highways, dear Mr. Disanaga, regarding Central Expressway project Section 3. With reference to our letter dated November 3, 2016 regarding the above, the Embassy of Japan is pleased to inform the Fujita Corporation, which shows interest in participating in the bidding for the Central Express project Section 3, is a prominent civil works contractor capable to construct the 32.5 kilometer 4-lane highway. ඊට පස්සේ ජෙබික් කියන ආයතනය අපිට ජෙබික් එකට දාන්න ඒක තියෙනවා given the ongoing developments on the above mentioned project and the fact that nothing has changed in the position of the Japanese government in terms of always posting the highest standards and the best practice. I am writing to revalidate the letter given to the government of Sri Lanka on the 23rd November 2016 regarding the Central Expressway and Fujita Corporation. Auditor General
We'd answer any question raised by the Auditor General. There are people who go into media interviews and talk about highway projects. Do they have enough knowledge to do so? I asked the chairman of the COPE, Sunil Handunethi, if he has the knowledge to assess expenditure for highway projects. The Auditor General, on the other hand, can do it. When people and media oppose these projects, investors get concerned. Then they might cancel the tender. When that happens, someone else can get the tender. That could be the ulterior motive here.
The strike launched by employees of the Ceylon Electricity Board concluded today. The 8-day strike came to a close following talks between the Minister of Labour, John Sinivaratne, Secretary of the Ceylon Electricity Board, Suren Batagoda, and CB trade unions this afternoon. Now, moving on from one strike to another, General Secretary of the Government Medical Officers Association, Dr. Naveen D'Souza, confirmed that a 24-hour strike against item will be launched at 8 a.m. tomorrow with the participation of several trade and teachers unions. He made this announcement at a media briefing held in Colombo today.
The government is changing their stance on a daily basis. Now the government is saying that they do not need the Sri Lanka Medical Council to make decisions when it comes to our doctors. We would like to ask the government as to why they are planning to transfer certain powers vested on the Medical Council to another institution and why. Why aren't they closing down an institution which does not fulfill the criteria of the Medical Council? If the government wants more strike action, we will oblige. But Please do not inconvenience the public further and find a solution to this problem. Do not appoint any more commissions. Instead, make a political decision.
Make it තීරණයක් ගන්න දේශපාලනික තීරණයක්.
The formation of the new Sri Lanka Broadcasters Guild was held at the auditorium of Ministry of Mass Media this evening. Deputy Chairman of the Derana Media Network, Laksiri Wickremege, was appointed the secretary to the guild.
The inaugural session of the Sri Lanka Broadcasters Guild saw the participation of media heads and influential personalities in the media industry. Attorney at Law Ravi Jayawardena was appointed the chairman, while Asanga Jayasuriya was appointed the deputy chairman of the Sri Lanka Broadcasters Guild.
It has been very challenging to establish a media guild in South Asia due to competition. Our objective should be to step away from being competitive and come together when it comes to addressing national issues. We should also address common problems faced within the industry and promote the integrity and ethics of the media industry.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Sri Lankan shares gained for a fifth straight session today to hit a more than a 5-week closing high as foreign investors bought into blue chips, boosting sentiment. Foreign investors bought a net 556.6 million rupees worth of shares, extending the year-to-date net foreign inflow to 17.7 billion rupees. We'll now cross over to Imesha Fernando from the Colombo Stock Exchange.
The market capitalization at the end of the day was 2,926.34 billion rupees. Top 5 gainers of the day were PC Pharma, Blue Diamonds Non-Voting, Lanka Cement, SNB Leasing and Bansai Royal Resort, while the top 5 losers were Adam Investments, Agalawatha Plantations, Nation Lanka Finance, Hapugasana Plantation and Madhulsima Plantation.
You are watching Sri Lanka's trusted news brand, Other Derana 24/7.
At least 200 people are confirmed dead after 7.1 magnitude earthquake toppled Mexico City and the states of Puebla, Mexico and Morelos yesterday, with dozens of people still missing. International media report confirmed deaths to be 216.
The epicenter of the 7.1 magnitude earthquake was at a depth of 57 kilometers on the boundary between Morelos and Puebla states. This is the second earthquake to hit Mexico within this month. The earthquake occurred shortly after a simulated earthquake drill earlier in the day in commemoration of the 8.1 magnitude earthquake in 1985. Dozens are still trapped under the rubble, while 4.6 million households, businesses and other facilities are affected by power failure.
Sri Lanka just about snuck into the last automatic qualification position for the ICC Cricket World Cup in 2019 after West Indies lost the first ODI against England yesterday at Old Trafford. The loss relegated the West Indies to the 9th position, meaning they will have to make the cut via qualifiers. Sri Lanka failed to win a single match during India's recent tour, having to rely on the West Indies losing a match to England.
Sri Lanka is the 8th and the last team to gain direct qualification, joining Australia, Bangladesh, England, India, New Zealand, Pakistan and South Africa. The West Indies, bearing 78 points in the ICC ODI rankings, will be unable to move ahead of Sri Lanka, bearing 86 points, as the cut-off date has been set for the 30th of September for automatic qualification. The West Indies, bearing 78 points in the ICC ODI rankings, will be unable to move ahead of Sri Lanka, bearing 86 points, as the cut-off date has been set for the 30th of September for automatic qualification. However, the West Indies can still qualify by securing a top 2 finish in the ICC Cricket World Cup Qualifier, which will be held next year.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Let's now cross over to Dhammika Ekanayake at the Derana Weather Centre for your weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
Good evening and a warm welcome to the Weather Centre. Now the temperatures are set to range between 20 and 34 degrees Celsius, with the eastern regions set to experience warmer conditions. Several spells of showers will occur in the western, suburban and central regions, with light showers forecasted in the northwestern province and the Galle and Mathura districts. There may be thunder showers in the Uva and eastern provinces, accompanied by strong winds. Now let's take a look at your city-by-city forecast.
And before we go, we'd like to take you to the Maithripala airport, where the joint field training exercise named Exercise Command Strike 2017 got underway yesterday. The field exercise, organised by the Sri Lanka Army, hosted a military contingent of over 2,000 soldiers from Sri Lanka and across the world, mainly focusing on hostage extraction. Thank you for joining us and have a pleasant evening.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.